So we'll continue with objective 9. This is video B. And we're still talking about angle, side angle, and angle, angle, side. You'll probably do this on the same night as the first video A, but go ahead and date and week and unit just in case. Whoop. And on this one, you want to have your straight edge handy. Of course, anytime we are drawing examples. And we'll be doing a lot of that. We're talking about congruent triangles. So anytime you're trying to prove that triangles are congruent, and we won't be proving here, we'll just be identifying whether it's an angle side angle or an angle angle side. The markings are super important. Okay, so if I do something like this, I specifically want to you to use that information somewhere in your work. Okay, that is super important. It's not there by accident. Okay, so on this example, our focus is the parallel lines and how they do something special for us. Did you know that that's the symbol for parallel? Let's write it in case you didn't. Okay, so the parallel lines give us certain pairs of angles that are congruent. In this case, they happen to be alternate interior angles. Remember, I've called them zigzag angles before. If you're in my class, we call them that all the time. So there is a pair of zigzag angles. I hope that you can see that. And there's another pair, and it's not always true that there are two pair. But because there are two pair of parallel lines, that gives me two pair of alternate interior angles. Okay, so give us congruent alternate interior angles. We wouldn't be able to say that those angles are congruent otherwise, so that's why we needed the parallel lines. And then we can say, do you remember what to say special about this line here through the middle? That one is a reflexive property. Do you remember that? So the angles are congruent by alternate interior. The side is congruent by reflexive property. And this is not a proof. I'm just listing out the reasons why I'm putting those markings on. And so we can say that these triangles are congruent. Here's an angle, there's a side, and here's an angle. Again, we're just identifying on these notes. Well, that's not how I wanted to draw that at all, is it? Ah, okay, I know how. This way. You can disregard this line right here. Sorry, I hope you're writing in pencil. Okay, so on an example like this, I'll go ahead and put in some markings for you. Okay, the only thing special that I want you to see about this one is the vertical angles. And do you remember what we know about vertical angles? They're always congruent. And so we're allowed to mark in ourselves. Remember, we're not allowed to make up information, but when we see something and we know that that something is true, such as these vertical angles and how they are congruent, then we're allowed to use it. So all of a sudden we have enough markings. I have two angles and I have a side. Two angles and a side. In which order do they come? Is it an angle side angle? I think that that's blank. Or is it an angle angle side? Totally angle sides. We need the vertical angles, and all the other angles or the other markings are given to you, and this is an angle side. And I'll introduce you to a term that you have studied previous, and we'll bring it back around, a term that is angle bisector. And we're going to use that term in the proofs this week when I get to the proofs. Okay, close enough. We'll put some markings on it so that we know for a fact. Okay, now you see this line right through the middle? And you see how it's taken this big angle here and cut it into 2 equal halves? Big angle over here and cut it into 2 equal halves. That's what an angle bisector does. Now, when we do proofs, you'll be given that this is an angle bisector. Right now, I just want you to see it. See the angle bisector. Just so you can get used to hearing that terminology. Okay. And we'll go ahead and highlight the angle bisector and how it's cutting those angles in half. And the only other thing we need is the reflexive, and hopefully you're getting good at seeing that, okay, reflexive property. Yes, you do need to know that vocabulary. You'll see it come up on the STAR test. And is this an angle side angle or an angle side? Totally an angle side angle. Remember, when we're counting those, when we're figuring it out, you're only looking at the markings on one triangle. You totally disregard the other triangle. Something that some students miss that idea. I did not write that down, so you might pause the video and write that down yourself. Okay, on this one, I want you to see how this line, this whole line here, appears to be cut in half. Okay, and so I'll just introduce you to the vocabulary here. We call it a midpoint. Whoops, midpoint of the segment. Now, you could also see it as a bisector or hear it as a bisector, bisecting meaning just to cut in half. Something else I didn't write down that you might pause and write down right now. Bisecting means to cut in half, and the midpoint is obviously the point that's right in the middle of. And here, all the other information is given to us. The midpoint of the segment gives me 2 equal halves. Oh, not everything is given to us. We have to see the vertical angles. The last thing we needed for this example. And now we can say, is it only on one triangle? Is it an angle side angle or an angle side? And it's totally an angle side angle. You must now please write a summary what these notes were about. Make sure that you also wrote down a question so that you can get full credit for your homework.